You good? You got to read, bro?
All minds clear?
Mute your phones, please. Please. You need it?
Yep. All right. This is Deuteronomy or Devarim, chapter 6 and verse 4. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah our Elohim, Yahuwah is one. Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael.
Yahuwah Eloheinu.
Yahuwah Eloheinu.
Yahuwah Echad.
Yahuwah Echad.
This is Exodus or Shemot, chapter 20 and verse 3. We will have no other mighty ones.
We will have no other mighty ones.
Against the Most High.
Against the Most High.
We will not make any carved image.
We will not make any carved image.
Or any likeness.
Or any likeness.
Of that which is in Shamayim above.
That which is in Shamayim above.
Or which is in the earth beneath.
Or which is in the earth beneath.
Or which is in the waters under the earth.
Or which is in the waters under the earth.
We will not bow down to them.
We will not bow down to them.
Nor serve them.
Nor serve them.
Yahuwah
For Yahuwah
is a jealous El.
is a jealous El.
Visiting the wicked.
Visiting the wicked.
Of the fathers on the children.
Of the fathers on the children.
To the third and fourth generation.
To the third and fourth generation.
Of those that hate him.
Those that hate him.
For showing kindness.
For showing kindness.
To thousands of those.
To thousands of those.
Who love him.
Who love him.
And keep his commandments.
And keep his commandments.
We will not bring the name.
We will not bring the name.
Yahuwah
Yahuwah
to nothing.
To nothing.
For Yahuwah.
For Yahuwah
Will not leave us unpunished.
will not leave us unpunished.
Who brings his name to nothing.
Who brings his name to nothing.
We will remember the Shabbat day.
We'll remember the Shabbat
To
day.
keep it Kodesh.
To keep it Kodesh.
6 days we will labor.
6 days we will labor.
And do all our work.
Do all our
But
work.
the seventh day
But the seventh day
is the Shabbat.
is the Shabbat.
Yahuwah.
Of Yahuwah.
For in 6 days.
We're in 6 days.
Yahuwah made Shamayim.
Yahuwah made Shamayim.
And the earth.
And the earth.
And the sea.
And the sea.
And all that is in it.
And all that is in it.
And rested the seventh day.
And rest the seventh day.
Therefore Yahuwah barak the Shabbat day.
Therefore, Yahuwah barak the Shabbat day.
We will respect our fathers.
We will respect our fathers
And our mothers.
and our
So
mothers.
that our days alone.
So that our days are long
Upon the earth.
upon the earth.
We will not murder.
We will not murder.
We will not commit adultery.
We will not commit adultery.
We will not steal.
We will not steal.
We will not bear false witness
We will not bear false witness
against our neighbor.
against our
We
neighbors.
will not cover
We will not covet
anything
anything
that is our neighbor.
that is our neighbors. Father Yah, we come before you, Father, standing on one accord, humbly asking, Father, that you would hear our prayers and accept our petition, Father. That you would look upon us, Father, remove anything that is unlike you, Father. Cleanse us, Father, according to your word, Father. Allow your word to go forth, Father, without obstacle, without being impeded, Father. We pray that it will fall on the ears of your people, Father, and the hearts, so that it may be accepted with thanksgiving and gladness, Father. That you will open up the hearts and the minds of your people to not only be hearers of the word, but doers also. Allow your Ruach, Father, to reign in this space right now, Father, that your word may proceed forth out of the mouth of the speaker according to your utterance, as you give utterance, Father, and be accepted by the hearer according to your will, Father. All these things we pray and we give thanks. But Shem Yahuwah ben Kaya Hoshua Hamashiach Ruach HaKodesh, so be it.
So be it. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. All right. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Y'all don't sound woke. Shabbat shalom. That sound a little bit. Okay, we got visitor. We got visitor in the building. Visitor in the building. Visitor in the building. How you doing?
Usually how we do when we see visitors, we want to kind of welcome you as a congregation. You know what I'm saying? So just give, your name, who brought you out, so we can go ahead and welcome you. Everybody hold it down. Hold it down, y'all. Hold it down. We get ready to start in a second. Hold it down, y'all. Please. Please.
My name is Carl Jones, and Paul, he visited Israel of God and he gave me some information about the location. I wanted to come out and visit and meet all the brothers.
Shalom. Shalom, brother. You are amongst family. You are welcome always. So whenever you feel like it, come on by. We ain't got no more visitors. No more visitors. Okay. So who is familiar with what we about to teach today? Nobody. Nobody familiar. You familiar, Lil Greg? That was you raising your hand? We're teaching on marriage today. I know a lot of y'all didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that none of y'all knew it because I asked, and ain't nobody say that. You know? But today we're going to be dealing with marriage, right? And we ain't just dealing with the regular stuff with marriage, but we dealing with some heavy duty. I got issues. You got issues. Let's talk about it, marriage. All right? How many are married in the building? Right? How many people had issues in their marriage? Had. I ain't saying have like right now. All right. Test number 1 has been failed by a lot of people in here. Why? Because you can't even admit if you got problems or not. How many people marriages is perfect in here? How many people that got perfect marriages in here? We got perfect marriage. Okay, that's one for the brothers. How many don't got a perfect marriage? Well, I didn't see all these hands when I said if you got a problem. But there's imperfection. It's a problem, right? Okay. Start me off at Zechariah, the book of Zechariah. I got to use this because I'm going to use y'all. Book of Zechariah. Pick it up at chapter 8, verse 16. Zechariah chapter 8, verse 16.
Zechariah chapter 8 and verse 16. These are the things that ye shall do. Speak ye every man truth to his neighbor.
Do what now?
Speak ye every man truth to his neighbor.
Are we all neighbors in here? That means that what we supposed to do? Tell the truth. So today not going to be a pacifying lesson. Today is not going to be a make you feel good lesson. Today we going to do what?
Speak ye every man the truth to his neighbor.
Go ahead.
Execute the judgment of truth and peace in your gates.
Okay. So we're going to speak the truth, right? We're going to talk about marriage. All right. Why do people get married? You put why married right here. You're married with 2 or 1. Why do people get married? Why naturally?
They were drinking Hennessy.
Love should have been first.
Finance, Henny. I wrote Henny. It says speak every man truth to his neighbor. I'm just being real. Finances. Love. Okay. One at a time. Finances, Henny. What else? Love. I hear love.
I feel love.
Love. I hear lust. I hear lust. Companionship. I got you, sister. Hold on one sec. Burning. You talking about what Paul was talking about. So we're going to put burning with lust, right? I got you. They might not be on your wavelength, but I feel you. Children. That brother Paul said it's better to marry than to what? So that means I'm about to get married, right? What else? Nothing else to discover it? We got finances, Hennessy. I don't go. Love, lust, which is going with the burning, right? Companionship, children, because it's righteous. So we're going to put because of the law. What else? Why do people get married? That's it? That's all we got?
They don't want to be alone.
Don't want to be alone? Well, we're going to roll that with the companionship. They get married to spread the gospel. I don't know about that one. Hey, baby, I want to spread the gospel.
No. I'm just saying, like, you got a family to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like easier.
I feel you.
Lead by exception.
We're going to leave that one out. Okay. So, say it one more time. Tradition. I like that. I said I got one, though. What's up, Rob? What you got? I don't know if I spelled tradition right, but we gonna roll with it. Well, we got by law. So, do we got anything else? Finances, Hennessy, love, lust, companionship, the burning, children, by law, tradition. Any other reason? Shotgun. Whoa. Okay, we're gonna put that with tradition. We're gonna put that with tradition. Stability, we're gonna put that with finances. Okay? Keep up with the Joneses, we're gonna put that with tradition. All right, so that's pretty much it on why married, right? Okay. Why divorce? No, wait. Because this is important.
Fornication.
And you said it, but we're gonna let everybody else figure it out. Fornication. I don't know if I'm selling this stuff right, but we're gonna roll with it. Fornication. What else? Lies. Communication.
Not provided.
Finances.
Didn't think it would be.
Didn't think. Come on, give me something else.
Like grass is greener, not necessarily in a sexual manner, but in general.
Grass is greener. Abuse. No burning? You're divorced because you don't? Oh, is that like intimacy? No intimacy? Okay. What else? Betrayal. Can you get specific with betrayal? Like okay, so we're gonna put that with the other ones. We're gonna put lie, betrayal. We're gonna put them in the same kind of category. Okay, something else. Who said that? Pride. I should have been number one.
That's the answer that we got to be answered.
That was the one that everybody's supposed to say first. He said, hold on.
We already know that was for life.
First. Okay. We got anything else? Ego and pride, same thing. Being blind, what do you mean being blind? Not paying attention. Okay, not paying attention to your mate. Yeah, that would be communication. That would be communication. Say it again. Unequally yoked. You just put not yoked. Anything else? Family. Family separate marriages. That's what they're talking about pretty much.
Wait. If one person don't have the same desire to chase after God, would that be not equally yoked?
That would be not equally yoked. Okay. So, is this the list? Or we got something else? Okay. Fornication is against the law.
Yeah.
Lies.
Yeah.
Lies. Companionship. Communication. Companionship. Finances. Finances. We're going to put fornication over there with Henny, too. Grass is greener. What we going to put grass is greener with?
All of that. All of that. Love, yeah, everything. The Henny is nice over
What else you said? What else
She
y'all
got
say?
frosty glasses with a Henny over there.
Oh, we gotta put. Okay, so lust, Hennessy, anything else for grass is greener? We're gonna put that down here with companionship. Finance. Grass is greener, finances. Okay. Love. Okay.
Children.
Grass is greener, children.
Burning.
Grass is greener, burn. Abuse. What we gonna put that with?
Hennessy.
Hennessy.
Lust.
Lust. What else?
Force pride.
Children.
Children.
Abuse.
Abuse. Children.
Somebody get this brother a bigger board.
Yes. What else? No intimacy.
Law.
Law.
I bet it. Law.
Y'all really, okay. Okay, law. What else? Love. What else? Love. I'm gonna say love. Not enough, Henny. No, okay. So, no intimacy. Can we go for children?
No.
Yeah, because children
We're gonna use children.
That's what is talking about some of the children that do.
Companionship with no intimacy. Pride. We just gonna say everything above. No intimacy, finances. Yes.
Got to pay to play.
That brother Wow.
Hey, it's just
We speaking right? We speaking. Not equally yoked.
Love.
Love.
Love and law.
Love. Law. Family.
All of above.
All of the above. Everybody with all of the above for family.
Except like lust.
Lust.
Except like lust. No lust.
No lust. Tradition. How about tradition?
Tradition. Yeah.
Family. We're gonna go for love.
Yeah.
Family. We're gonna go with children. And family. We're gonna go love and companion. Okay. So look. Now, which one got the most?
I don't know. Pride.
Pride. What else? Guess what? It don't matter. Because the same reasons why people marry, same reason why people divorce. Right?
Hey.
So how do we curb this? How do we curb this? What do we use to curb this? You got to start communicating. What else you got to start doing?
Get back to the law.
You got to get back to the law. Okay, what else? Put your pride to the side. What else?
Stop lying.
Love each other. Stop lying. Finances. Get your finances in order. That's important. A lot of people say finances ain't important. Finances are important. Stop drinking as much. What about tradition? We got to do anything with tradition? What we got to do with tradition? Break it. We're going to edge tradition out. We got to get intimate. Stop putting people in your business. Do what?
You said no, then know your role.
Know your role. All right. So, we got a clear understanding of why people get married. Clear understanding why people get divorced. So now what we got to do? Let me say this first. If you here trying to listen to something that will make your spouse click on to one of these things and say, okay, they're going to change, you're in the wrong place. We ain't here for you to look at your spouse and say, see, I brought you here just so you can hear. Or that ain't what we're here for. Because if we're here for that, this one you ain't even let go. Right? The only person you should be here to listen to this stuff about is who? 1 Corinthians 13. First Corinthians 13. Actually, you know what? 2 Corinthians 13 first. Pick it up at verse 5. 2 Corinthians 13, 5.
2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5.
Yep.
Examine yourselves.
Do what now?
Examine yourselves.
Tell you, hey, Trav about to be teaching about marriage, so you need to make sure you, right? Examine yourself. Oh, go ahead.
Whether you be in the faith.
Whether you be what?
In the faith.
Whether you be in the faith. Go ahead.
Prove your own selves.
Do what?
Prove your own self.
You can't focus on what somebody else not doing right, because then you take away from the things that you're doing wrong. Right? So he says, prove your own self. Go ahead.
Know ye not your own selves?
Do you know yourself? That's a question. Do you know yourself? When you see these issues arising in marriages or regular relationships, whatever have you, or even if people courting, you know what I'm saying? Do you see your own issues? Or are you only looking at it like, man, this person just, they do this wrong, 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 they do this wrong. I've been there, right? It's an easy way to vent. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Know ye not your own selves,
How
that Yahushua HaMashiach is in you, except you be reprobates?
Except you be what?
Reprobates?
What is a reprobate?
Do something all the time. Same thing.
Somebody that do a pattern do the same thing, but what? They make their wrongs right. You're convinced that it's not wrong anymore. So do you know yourself to the point where you say, I've been doing this for so long that this ain't even wrong? Can you admit to yourself that you're actually doing wrong? Can you admit to yourself that you need help with whatever you're dealing with? Galatians 6, chapter 6, verse 3. Galatians 6 and 3. Galatians 6 and 3.
Galatians chapter 6 and verse 3.
Yeah.
For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself.
He do what?
He deceiveth himself.
Oh, I'm actually doing everything I'm supposed to do in our marriage. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I got this thing locked down. It's you. Right? How many people thought that before? I have. What that go back to? Pride. Right? I'm just getting sick and tired of this. This just ain't working out. This ain't, you just don't do this anymore. You just don't do that anymore. I'm just sick of it. I can't do this. Now you still looking at yourself like you are the one in the right. Because the only person you seem to be talking about is who? The other person, right? Whoever heard the saying, happy wife, happy life. Now, we speaking every man truth to his neighbor. People who had their hands up. Is that the truth? No. How many of y'all would make yourself believe that that's the truth because it sounds good? It sounds good. That's it. A brother said to me, Trav, why don't nobody think about it like this? Happy spouse, happy house. You ever heard that one before? This other day. Okay. What does it mean, happy spouse, happy house? Both are spouse. Ain't no gender specific. Both are spouse. So if this spouse is happy, the house is happy. But if this spouse is unhappy, the house not happy. Right? Were you at Galatians 6? Yep. 3. Go ahead.
Verse 4. But let every man prove his own work.
Do what?
But let every man prove his own work.
Point out the flaws in others.
But let every man prove his own work. And then shall he have rejoicing in himself.
In who?
In himself.
Rejoicing in the other person.
In himself.
When you make sure that you're right, now you can be comfortable with you. Because a lot of the times, it's something that we're uneasy with ourselves that we make wrong with our partner. Right? Go ahead.
But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another.
And not where?
And not in another. For every man shall bear his own burdens.
For every man shall do what?
Bear his own burden.
Because guess who gets judged for your actions? You. You do. Right? Lamentations 3 and 40. It's setting the foundation. What do Lamentations mean, y'all? Sorrow. Cry. 3 and 40. 3 and 40. Means to cry, right? Lamentations 3 and 40.
Lamentations chapter 3 and verse 40. Let us search and try our ways.
Let us do what?
Search and try our ways.
Try their ways.
Our ways.
Set up something so they can see if they gonna pass the test.
Our ways.
You gotta try your own ways. Your walk is about you, and your marriage is about how you handle situations, not about the other person. We're gonna see that in a minute. It's about you. But if you constantly make it about the other person, the marriage is going to fall. It's never going to stand. When you're in a relationship with somebody and you're not married yet, you still have to keep in mind that you have to deal with you. A lot of people jump into marriages not knowing themselves. So now as you're trying to seek out yourself, you ruining somebody else. That's just the truth. Right? Psalms 119, verse 59. What? 119:59.
Psalms chapter 119, verse 59. I thought on my ways.
I did what?
I thought on my ways.
I thought on my wife's ways. And I'm like, she just ain't doing it for me right now. She just ain't right. Whose ways did he think on?
I thought on my ways
Uh-huh.
and turned my feet unto thy testimonies.
He said, when I thought on my ways, I turned my feet to your testimonies. Not somebody else's. How many of y'all believe this book is true? How many of y'all believe these scriptures is true? Okay? So if you believe that these scriptures are true, when you see certain things that are written in them, you should believe it and follow it, correct? But if you don't follow it, then you actually showing yourself not to love the Most High. How many of y'all are in your book enough to even know what this thing say about marriage? Really? Marriage is a constitution from who? Who gave marriage? Who instituted marriage into life? The Most High, right? Which means that in order for marriage to be successful, then it has to go by his guidelines. Yes? How do you know how to have a successful marriage without the guidelines? You don't. So a lot of people move based off tradition, what they've heard before, right? So now when those traditions start to get ruffled up by the laws and what's written in the scriptures, you fold because you hold the traditions higher than his scriptures, right? Romans chapter 8, verse 6. This is a little foundational.
Romans chapter 8 and verse 6. For to be carnally minded is death.
To be what now?
To be carnally minded is death.
All right, now why would we go here to say to be carnally minded is death? What will make us go here dealing with this? We just got done talking about the laws and all this. What will make us come here?
Pride. No.
Pride.
Own ways.
Keeping your own ways.
Ways of the
Okay.
world.
Ways of the world. What is the law?
Spiritual.
The law is spiritual. So, if you're carnally minded in your relationship, then you won't add no scripture into it. You won't make the Most High the head of it. Right? Go ahead.
For to be carnally minded is death.
Yeah.
But to be spiritually minded is life.
Is what?
Is life.
He
To
said
be
that.
spiritually minded is life.
To be spiritually minded is life. So that means that we got to make sure that our mind is stayed on the law. Is that hard dealing with your marriage? We speaking truth, every man to his neighbor. Is it hard to deal with the law when you in your marriage? When you got another person nagging you, when you got another person not doing what you want them to do, when you got another person doing this and doing that, on top of you got work situations, you got family situations. Is it hard to forget about the scriptures in the midst of all that concerning your marriage?
Yes.
It is. But the moment that you forget it is the moment you start heading for death. Right? Hebrews 2 and 11. I believe it's 2 and 11. Let me see. No, hold on. Hold on. Two and 12. Romans 2 and 12. I'm sorry. Romans. My bad. Salakia. 2 and 12. Romans 2 and 12.
Romans chapter 2 and verse 12. For as many as have sinned without the law shall also perish without law. And as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law.
So whether you thinking about it or you not thinking about it, it's still the law. Whether it's flowing through your mind or whether it's not flowing through your mind, it's still the law. Which means that where should it be always? In the forefront of your brain. Right hand in your forehead, right? It should always be in the forefront of your mind. Because once you go outside of the guidelines, you're going outside of the marriage. So when people get married that are male and male, female and female, right? Is that marriage? Why is it not marriage? That ain't how he ordained it. He ain't set it up for that. He said, a man shall leave his mother and father, get with his woman,
Cleave to his wife.
cleave to his wife, they two shall be one flesh. Right? So, if it's a man and a man, a woman, that ain't marriage. Right? Now, I'm not going to ask that question yet. We can get to it. We'll get to it. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. How many of y'all can truly say that you love your spouse? She like me for real back here. How many of y'all can truly now y'all know I'll be asking these questions for a reason.
Right.
It ain't a trick though. I'm just asking. Right? One more time. How many of y'all can truly say that you love your spouse? Confidently. I'm remembering these hands. Just know, I'm going to remember these hands. Okay. 1 Corinthians 13:1.
First Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Though I speak with the tongue of men and of Malachims and have not charity, I am become as a sounding brass.
So hold on. That word charity is what?
Love.
So everywhere it say charity, say love. Go ahead back from the top.
Though I speak with the tongue of men and of Malachims and have not love, I am become as sounding brass.
So he says, though I got the tongue of men and the tongue of the angels above, if I don't have love, then none of that means nothing. Right? Follow him. Go ahead.
I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains.
So he's telling you, if I got all of this, how many of y'all can move a mountain right now with your faith? You gave man truth to his name? Right? How many of y'all got all prophecy? All knowledge? Not many, right? He said he got all of this. Right? Read.
And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains, and I have not love, I am nothing.
He said, if I don't have love, then I'm what?
Nothing.
Nothing. We would look at a man that can do all those things as somebody that's great. But he said, if I don't have love with this, I ain't got nothing. How many of y'all feel like that in your relationship? I guarantee you, with all of those things that we put up on the board, that love is never number one on your mind. Finance is always going to come before love. Companionship going to come before love. Right? All of those other things come before love. We don't get to talking about love until after everything is over with. Well, I don't think they ever loved me anyway. But the whole time we was talking about finances. The whole time we was talking about companionship. The whole time we was talking about this and that, right? Nobody ever seems to think about love until it's over with. But in the beginning, what was it all about? Oh, it was love at first sight. Ooh, I knew I loved her when she, man, I love that woman. Man, I love that man. But that get lost because of stuff. Right? It get lost. You're not thinking about love no more. But let's see what the book says. Keep reading.
All right, verse 3. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and I have not love, it profited me nothing. How many of y'all go out and get to the home? Or have before? Did you have love in your heart when you did it?
Yeah.
You exactly. You will hope so, right? Because if you didn't, it don't mean nothing. When you feed people, and y'all bring y'all dishes in every week, right? Go buy your dishes, you prepare your dishes. If you're not doing it out of love, if you're doing it just because ain't nobody else gonna do it, don't mean nothing.
Please stop doing it.
Because that ain't gonna look right to him. Well, I remember I brought a meal every week and this and that. Get away from me. I never knew you. Because you're a worker of iniquity. Read.
Love suffereth long.
Love do what?
Suffers long.
Love stops.
Suffereth long.
Love suffers for a year.
Suffereth long.
Love suffers for 2 years.
Long.
5 years.
Long.
10 years.
Long.
12 years.
Long.
It says love suffers long. Y'all laughing because you know what's going on, right? It don't suffer for just as long as you feel like you can take it. How long was it before the Most High smashed out the children of Israel and said, I'm divorcing you?
Never.
How long was it? It was long. Long. And then, guess what happened when he got divorced? He went and married another nation. That what happened? What happened when he get divorced? Huh? He stayed single, right? And then what did he do after that? Give me John 3:16. Hold what you got here. Yeah, let's go to the joint that everybody don't want to go to. Oh, the cliche. Right? Because he said that you the apple of his eye. So why, if you the apple of his eye, would he divorce you and leave you by the wayside? He said, he swore to himself that he was going to do this and do that for the children of Israel. So even though we broke the covenant, what did he still have to do? He had to stay by his word. He said, I'm not a man that I should lie. John 3:16, what does it say?
John chapter 3, verse 16.
Yeah.
But Elohim so loved the world. Hold on. But Elohim so loved Judah in America. And no heathens and nobody else.
Go ahead.
Oh, I don't say that. But Elohim so loved the world.
And he did what?
That he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever.
Yeah, who what?
Whosoever.
Shall what?
Believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
So when he divorced his wife, Israel, he said, I gotta get her back. Let me figure out a way that I can get my wife back, because I made the vow that I was gonna do A, B, and C with that woman. It said that the children of Israel were adulterous. Right? What did he do? He stayed with her. Right? Right now, today, just today, right now. How many of y'all commit adultery? Today, right now. How many of y'all were thinking about or being on the brink of leaving each other? So let me ask you this. If he stayed with his or got his back after the adultery, what's your excuse? Okay. Let's go back to 1 Corinthians 13. Pick it up where you left off.
I'll pick it back up at verse 4.
Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 4.
Yeah.
Love suffereth long and is kind.
And it's what?
And it's kind.
It's mean.
It's kind.
It's only kind when you kind to me.
It's kind. Love envieth not.
And do what?
It envies not. Love vaunteth not itself. It is not proud.
It's not up. It's not what?
Puffed up.
It's not puffed up. So if there's pride existing in your marriage, that means that there is an absence of what? If you're not long suffering, that means that there's an absence of what? So if you were ready to call it quits, and I asked you, do you love your partner? And you told me yeah, that means you was lying. Speak every man truth to his neighbor, right?
So we do.
You ain't got to raise your hand and say you're a liar. You think to yourself, man, I'm a liar. Because I said that I loved my partner, but I didn't. So if you said that you loved your partner, right, but you aren't long suffering, you ready to leave. You are proud in your marriage. You can't love them. Because where there's pride, there is no love. Where there's an absence of long suffering, there is no love. Because if love is long suffering and love is against pride, then where there's a presence of those things, love can't be there. Makes sense? Okay. Keep going.
Verse 5. Doth not behave itself unseemly. Seeketh not her own.
It said it don't behave itself what?
Unseemly.
Remember we was talking about abuse? Is that unseemly? How you say that again? I'm tongue-tied.
Unseemly.
Unseemly. Is that unseemly? That ain't love. Talking to your partner any type of way, cussing them out, calling them out their name, doing vindictive stuff, that ain't love. Trying to be slick under the table, that ain't love. Throwing little shots, that ain't love. How many of y'all been guilty of the stuff we named? That mean ain't no real love. This the book. I ain't saying this. This the book.
Read the book.
Listen to the book. Listen to the book. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Do not behave itself unseemly. Seeketh not her own. Is not
seek what?
Seeketh not her own.
Seek not her own. Seek not her own. What do y'all think that means when it says love don't seek its own? What that mean?
Is it love doesn't look for love?
Selfish.
Love because you're supposed to love.
It don't look for love. It ain't trying to feel love itself. Love is not for you if you're doing the loving. It's for who? Somebody else. Right? So if you only doing this for yourself, then that's selfish. Philippians 2. Philippians 2. We coming back to 1 Corinthians 13. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 1. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 1. Because that's what we missing. We worried about so much other stuff. If I sat you down and I asked you, what's going on in your marriage? What's going on in your marriage? Well, finances ain't looking too good, so this is what's going on. Well, I feel like we don't talk enough, and this is what's going on. Well, I feel like this. I feel like that. What about love? Do you love each other? Because ain't no sense of saying that we married and we this and that if you ain't got no. It's a difference between having love for somebody and loving somebody. A lot of y'all might have love for your partner. But do that mean you love them? Do that mean that you love them? Don't necessarily mean you love them because you got love for them, right? Philippians 2, verse 1.
Philippians chapter 2 and verse 1. If there be therefore any consolation in Hamashiach, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any vows and any mercies, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love.
Having what?
Having the same love.
Having the what?
Same love.
Having the same love on what?
Being of one accord and of one mind. Let nothing be done through strife.
Through what?
Through strife.
So when you having these talks with your mate, if you doing it through strife, ain't no love there. Read.
Let nothing be done through strife or vain glory.
What's vain glory? Pride. Right? I'm having this conversation with you because I know I'm right and I'm waiting on you to get pigeonholed so you can admit that you're wrong. How many of y'all done did that before? I was the king of it. I asked my wife. Not having the conversation because we sitting down and I really want to get to the bottom. I knew you was watch this. So remember what happened such and such. Remember you said I was just trying to figure out what that was. Oh, so you was wrong. That wasn't right. Okay. So you gonna apologize? That's not what I'm supposed to be having the conversation for. You do that out?
Yeah.
Okay. I seen the laugh. I just seen the laugh. We being real. I just seen the laugh. You know what I'm saying? How many, like what we said, we lawyers in here, right? How many of y'all done lawyered your partner into?
I am.
I'm Attorney General.
That boy ain't got nothing coming. She said, I'm the Attorney General, the lawyer of lawyers. Right? You already indicted. I'm just asking a lot of questions. Let's see if you got a minute.
Right.
Go ahead. Verse 2.
Fulfill you my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord and of one mind. Let nothing be done through strife or vain glory, but in lowliness of mind. In lowliness of mind.
What's lowliness? Humble. If a lot, what do you say? A soft answer turns away what? Right. How many of us can honestly say when we feeling some type of way, so you make me feel. If I keep coming to say the same thing over and over again, right? He says, in lowliness of mind, what else?
Verse 3. In lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than themselves.
Whoa. That's tough. That's tough. It said, let each esteem the other. What?
Better than themselves.
Woo. That's tough. You just wronged me. I can't look at you like you better than me. I'm the one that's good on this situation. Well, if that's the case, that's why you're supposed to come to him like that. He says, let those that are strong bear the infirmities of the what? Of the weak. But we don't do that. We try to wallow in our goodness, so to speak, at that particular moment. Like you ain't never did nothing wrong to your spouse before. All right? Let's go back to 1 Corinthians. Nope. Read verse 4 before we go there.
Verse 4. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others.
You're supposed to look on the things of who?
Others.
Well, I just feel this type of way. And I'm going through this. And I. I always say this. I know my aunt be saying this. I know. If my goal is to make my wife happy, and my wife's goal is to make me happy, where do we go wrong? Where do we go wrong?
Pride, oh, give me pride.
But this is what happened. That's the soundtrack. This is what happens. So if my goal is to make her happy, her goal is to make me happy, and somebody slack. God, you got to read that here. I'm gonna say this after he reads that. Read verse 4 in the Hallelujah. Sheesh.
Verse 4 in the Hallelujah. Each one should look out not only for his own interest, but also for the interest of others.
Wow, that's plain text, right? Is it hard when you get to feel like somebody wronging you in a relationship? Yeah. So you supposed to be, I'm supposed to be for my wife's supposed to be for me, but once somebody starts to feel lacking, what do they start to do? They start looking out for their own. You not making me happy, so I'm gonna make me happy. So now if two people making one person happy, then what's gonna happen with the other one? That person gonna slack. You not making me happy, you making yourself happy, so I'm not gonna make you happy, I'm gonna make myself happy. Now instead of us doing this, we're doing this. Eventually, if it's like this, it's gonna be like this. Right? Because ain't no love there. Love ain't selfish. Love don't love its own. Love loves others. So I'm going to ask y'all again, before we finish this whole love thing out, how many of y'all, after looking at this, can say you truly love your partner? Now, we speaking every man truth to his neighbor. Now, I'm trying not to get in trouble.
No, I'm looking at somebody.
So better raise your hand. Better raise your hand. Right? Now, if y'all can't agree to some of that stuff that's on 1 Corinthians 13, then that means love is missing somewhere. Right? Don't be front. Speak every man truth to his neighbor. Let's go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 13. First Corinthians 13. Pick it up where you left off there. Some of y'all front. I ain't about to get in trouble. Hey, y'all sitting right in front of each other.
I mean, it's simultaneous thing, like,
Yeah.
at the same time, you're both like, yeah.
But we just got to be real. The love is important. Oh, don't marry for love. I don't do the. Don't. Man, listen here. You can say that if you want to. But this book talk about love all through it. And the Most High showed the most of it when he ain't had to.
Love ain't paid my bills. Ain't that what they say?
That's what they say. But if you truly, let's get to that. 1 Corinthians 13, where you leave off at? All right.
Pick it up in verse 6.
Okay.
1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 6. Rejoice not in iniquity, but rejoice in the truth. Beareth all things, believeth all
It
things.
said it bears what?
All things.
Uh-huh.
Believeth all things.
Uh-huh.
Hopeth all things.
Yeah.
Endureth all things.
It do what?
Endureth all things.
How many of y'all ready to stop enduring? Be honest. If you ready to stop enduring, that means that you don't love the other person. You got love for them, but you don't love them. Because it don't say love endures some things. It say all things. Read.
Love never faileth.
Love never what?
Never fails.
Love never what?
fails.
What do that mean to y'all? It never gives up. Love conquers all. Love conquers all. You can say it's cliche. You can say this book. Read.
Love never fails, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away.
So he's saying all of these things, prophecies, all of these different type of things, what you know are going to come to pass. People got language. He said all that stuff going to cease at one point in time. But guess what's going to continue? Guess what was here before you was? When he put that institution of marriage together, when you said your I do's, you made a vow to love your spouse. Guess who you made the vow to? The Most High. Deuteronomy chapter 24. Pick it up at verse 21.
Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 21.
Yeah.
When thou shalt vow a vow unto Yahuwah.
You shall do what now?
Vow a vow unto Yahuwah.
Now, your vows that you made with your wife or your husband, your covenant that you made with each other in mind, but this was supposed to be done before who?
Yah.
Before Yah. Right? So, he says, if you vow a vow, go ahead.
When you vow a vow unto Yahuwah your Elohim, you shall not slack to pay it.
You shall what?
Not slack to pay it.
You shall not slack to pay. So now, with these vows that you made in your marriage, you made a covenant. Both sides agreed to this covenant. Right? Some said for richer or for poor. Some said that, right? Do that knock out finances? Through sickness and in health. What else? What's the other one? So who? For better or for worse. Let's say that one kind of hit me. Right? For better or for worse. Companionship or no companionship. Intimacy or no intimacy. Right? Now again, we got to remember that this is the covenant that we agreed to. But guess who got to make sure that covenant is kept? Y'all too. Because you made a vow before the Most High. And with his, we'll get to that. Keep reading.
Verse 21. And when you shall vow a vow unto Yahuwah your Elohim, you shall not slack to pay it. For Yahuwah your Elohim will surely require it of you.
He will what?
Surely require it of you.
The last thing you said is to what do us part? Death do us part. He said, I'm going to require that of you. For better or for worse, I'm going to require that of you. If you said to your spouse, hey, when we get into it, we're going to try our best not to holler and scream at each other, I'm going to require that of you. Some of y'all need to go back over the terms and conditions of y'all marriage. Because everything that you breaking, he going to require it of you. What else he said after that?
Surely he will require it of you, and it will be sin in you.
It will be what?
Sin in you.
It will be sin in you. So you mean to tell me my vow I made with another person is going to cause me to sin if I don't keep my end of the vow? Yeah. Did he give a punishment for that sin? Did he say what he was going to do when he requires that of you? Did he say that? Read the next verse.
Verse 22. But if you shall forbear to vow, it shall be no sin in you.
So if you, it would have been better for you not to even make the vow than make the vow and break the vow. Because now he said he gonna require it of you. He don't tell you what way he gonna require it of you. He don't tell you the punishment for the sin, which means it's up to who? It's up to his discretion. Who want to play with that? I don't. Not with the death do you part joint. Right? You don't want to play with that. You don't know what's on the other side. Right? Get Psalms 22:25.
Psalms chapter 22 and verse 25. My praise shall be of you in the great congregation.
In the what?
In the great congregation.
He says, my praise shall be of you in the great congregation. I wonder what that's talking about. Talking about in the end time? Kingdom, right? Go ahead.
I will pay my vows.
I will do what?
Pay my vows before them that fear him.
So, what happens if a person don't pay their vows? Are they going to end up in this same place that this person is talking about? Read it again. Huh?
My praise shall be of you in the great congregation.
Where is this great congregation at, y'all? That's in the kingdom. You've been talking about this 1,000-year reign, all this type of stuff, right? My praise shall be of you in the kingdom. Read.
I will pay my vows before them that fear him.
I will pay my vows before who?
Them that fear him.
So what happens if you don't pay the vows? Do you be in that place? No. See, a lot of people love marry because of lust, right? Let's just be honest, right? Hennessy, right? But there's something in the scriptures that actually outlines that type of thing. Because you married for lust, does that mean that you don't have to do the things that he said that you're supposed to do? He says, if you entice a maid and lie with her, you shall surely endow her to be your what? Me and Ak was having this conversation about what does it mean for the Most High to put people together? Well, it says, for what the Most High have joined together, let no man put asunder. What do that mean to y'all? If y'all brought it together, do it say that can't no man break it apart? Let no man mean somebody might try. Right? But what does it mean when he say Yah, what Yah have joined together? What do that mean? He put it together, right?
He put it together.
So give me an example of somebody that he didn't put together. Give me an example, like something he didn't put together.
Samson and Delilah.
Samson and Delilah.
He didn't marry.
No, he didn't. They wasn't married. What happened? David and Bathsheba? He didn't put that together. Okay. Why didn't he put that together? Because it was done in what? Not lust. Because it was done in sin.
It was adultery.
It was adultery. So y'all didn't put that together. Right? And murder. When did they get married, though? After Uriah died. After Uriah died and the baby died, then they got married. Give me another example. of something he didn't put together?
Saul was supposed to kill everything.
Marriage.
Oh, I thought you were talking about it now.
What's a marriage that he didn't put together? Jacob and Leah? They wasn't married. Jacob and Leah.
They had kids though, right?
Who, Jacob and Leah?
No, Judah and Tamar.
Yeah. Remember, he slept with a harlot. That was just a little fling. And then she came up like, oh, it was me. You know what I'm saying? Judah and Tamar. I mean, not Judah and Tamar. Jacob and Leah. These things were done in sin, though. Right? That man lied about giving to him who he was supposed to give to him. David committed a sin to get with his woman. Outside of sin, what is a instance that you can say that the Most High didn't put it together? You can't. Why? Because he gave you law on how to do it. So if you entice that maid and you lie with her, and you marry her, guess who put the law in place for that to be? You take that woman, you leave from your household, y'all get married, blase, blase, y'all cleave to each other. Guess who put that in place? What's that? So,
They did it for the ignorance, that the couple did it in ignorance before they knew what the law was. So they still,
wait, if they did what?
you said if he lied to them and lied to the woman that made her the wife. What if they did that before they knew what the law was?
He said, with people's ignorance, he wink at.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying things are going through things now, and they didn't really know that.
Trust me, we would all be in adultery right now. If we would, we'd be in bad shape. We'd be in bad shape. He said, for your ignorance, he winked at, right? But you got to look at something. If you married your partner under these vows, it's your job to keep them. It's your job to keep them. Right? Exodus 22. Pick it up at verse 16.
Exodus chapter 22 and verse 16. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
One more time.
Verse 16. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
Plain and simple, right? You done laid with her, because you know, right? Now you got to endow her to be your wife. Now everything that he talked about as far as that love, you better get with the program. Right? Exodus 21:10. Exodus 21:10.
Exodus chapter 21 and verse 10. If he take him another wife.
So we looking at this situation. This Exodus 21 is going to be if he take him another wife, this is also talking about with your regular wife. Make sense? This is the reason why I came here. So if you have a wife, then what?
If he take him another wife, her food and her raiment and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish.
So if you're married, food, raiment, duty of marriage has to be intact. Everybody agree? Do everybody agree? Do anybody oppose this scripture? No. Okay. Food. Is there food? being provided in the household? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes? Yes, period. Is there food in the house? Clothes on your back? Here's the big one. The duty of marriage. What's the duty of marriage? Why is y'all so, what is up? Good grief. It's intimacy. Right? So, have you used this, man or woman, as a vice to teach your husband or wife a lesson?
No.
I hear laughing.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, the ones who is married, can I get an answer?
No.
Never used it. Anybody else? Yes or no? Somebody.
What people got using was who have issues or
We ain't talking about having issues. We ain't talking about having issues. We're talking about making a conscious decision to say no to your partner. Has anybody ever did that?
Oh, you said.
Had a conscious, okay, let me see. Let me turn my English part on. Has anybody made a conscious decision to deny their partner intimacy? No. Okay, let's keep moving. Speak every man truth to his neighbor. Somebody line up here. Somebody line. Okay. If you do that, you breaking the law. Plain and simple. That's all we try to get to. Be honest with yourself. That's what we're here for. If you do that, then you breaking the law. If you make the choice. Not saying what you say to your partner, right? Oh yeah, this is happening. So this, what I'm saying, I can't, because if it's not a viable excuse, and I ain't talking about, you only know whether it's a viable excuse or not. I'm tired. That don't work. Headache don't work. Headache don't work. Oh, y'all don't like that? Y'all don't like that? 1 Corinthians chapter 7. That's okay. Y'all don't like that.
Argue with the book.
Listen to the book. Hey, brother. Listen, as long as it's with consent for a time.
You said later.
You know what I'm First Corinthians chapter 7. Good grief. Good grief. Good grief. First Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1. Now again, this is for you if you do deny your partner. It's just
1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 1.
Yeah.
Now concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife.
All right. If you got a wife in here, listen up. You got a husband in here, listen up. If you single, listen up. To avoid fornication,
let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband.
Go ahead.
Let the husband render unto his wife due benevolence.
Let the husband render unto his wife. What is it?
Due benevolence.
What does that benevolence mean right there, Rob?
It means goodwill, kindness.
He said love is kind. Right? So even when you don't want to be, it's your job, if you love this person, to deal with them kindly.
And the Strong's definition is from the same as G2132.
What is that?
Kindness, emphatically conjugal duty.
Whoa. Conjugal. That's a word everybody knows. We just read over there in the law where it says that shall not diminish, correct? So husbands, no headaches.
30 minutes stop.
Said 30 minutes. He'll be all right. Okay, keep reading.
Let the husbands render to his wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband.
That means that this particular part in scripture goes to who? Both. There is no deny. Let's see. Let's keep reading. Come on.
The wife hath not power of her own body.
Yes, I do. I don't know why. No. But who?
But the husband.
When you took that vow, when you got married, guess who the Most High gave you over to? Your husband. Vice versa. Read.
And likewise also the husband have not power of his own body, but the wife.
You can't deny either. Husband and wife. I don't care if you arguing, you feuding. I don't care if I don't care what take place. If you follow this book, then this is what you got to roll with. Now, you can kindly walk out of the Most High's life if you want to. Because I'm not making that. Was we sitting together the other night and wrote this in here because we wanted the women to know this, and we wanted the husbands to do this? We didn't sit here and write this. This has been here for thousands of years, right? Don't fight what's perfect. It's a reason for that. Read.
Defraud ye not one the other.
It said what now?
Defraud ye not one the other.
What does it mean to defraud?
Defraud, rob.
To who?
To defraud, rob.
To rob? Wow. That means that it's mine, right? If you robbing me of something, that means it's mine. Because your body ain't yours no more. So once you keep it from me, you're robbing me. Yes? Okay. Defraud you not one another.
Defraud ye not one another, except it be with consent.
With what?
With consent.
For
a time.
Oh, them 30 minutes. That's all. You know, they need 30 minutes, right? As long as y'all agree on that, that's cool. Right? But you got to understand that this particular thing is something major. What's the saying? Once you get married, that type of intimacy goes out the window. You ever heard that saying before? That's like a way out of the book. That's like the furthest thing of what it should be. But if you deprive your mate of this, that means that you don't love them. So the excuse be, oh, that's all you think about. Oh, that's all you worried about. How many of y'all thought about that before? Said that before? You ain't got to say it out loud. I know you said it. That's all you think about. You don't never think about nothing else. Well, it's put in the law for a reason. Who made the genetics of a man? The Most High. And he told you everything that man was going to need. Yes? So if he say don't defraud it, it's because it's for a reason. Right? Sometimes a man can't even think straight. We laughing, but it's real. And vice versa for women. It's not to be defrauded on either side. It's not to be joked about. It's not to be played about. It's not to be used as a vice. It's not none of that. Because he put it in his law. We don't laugh at the law. Especially when it's something that you don't agree with. Only reason Paul said it is because it's in the law. Read. He said, don't defraud each other unless it's for consent for a time. Read.
That you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer.
So once you do defraud, and y'all agree, that you're supposed to give yourself to what?
Fasting and prayer.
Not because you pissed me off today. Why would he tell you to fast and pray if you're going to consent to defraud each other? That means it got to be something that can happen in that instance. Right? Read.
And prayer and come together again. That Satan.
That who?
Satan.
Do what?
Tempt you not, for in your that word.
Incontinency.
But I speak this by permission and not of commandment.
Hold on, wait. Let's not go to that part yet. He told you if you're going to defraud each other, let it be for fasting and prayer, because who gonna try to come in?
Satan.
And gonna try to do what with you? You ever heard these conversations pop up out of nowhere? I'm thinking about getting a second wife. Or I don't think this gonna work. I don't think you love me because you ain't touched me. Right? These conversations go on, right? He said that you're supposed to do it for fasting and prayer because Satan coming in. He gonna tempt you. Right? So keep it real with yourself. This is the type of stuff that go on. Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2. Let's hit something else real quick. Genesis chapter 2, verse 19. Actually, start at verse 20.
Genesis chapter 2 and verse 20. And Adam gave names to all the cattle and to the fowls of the air and to every beast of the field. But to Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him. And Yahuwah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahuwah Elohim had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this now is bone of my bones.
This is what?
Bone of my bones.
And what?
Flesh of my flesh. And she shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man.
So it says that she shall be called bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. How many of y'all look at your spouse as if that y'all are one person? Anybody else? Okay. So when you don't look at your spouse as y'all being the same person, it's easier to hurt them. It's easier to offend them. It's easier to piss them off because you're not looking at it as you're doing this to yourself. Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 23. Actually, pick it up at verse 29. Ephesians what? Ephesians 5, I'm sorry. Ephesians 5 and 29.
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 29. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh.
What? He said, no man have yet hated his own flesh, right? Do you hate your own flesh? Would you look in the mirror and say nasty, disgusting things to yourself to hurt your feelings? No. Would you push yourself around? Would you make yourself feel like a doormat? Would you make yourself feel uneasy? Would you curse yourself out? Would you do any of these things to yourself? So he says this right here. Go ahead.
For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth, and even as the master, the congregation.
So he said, if you ain't hate your own self, and your woman is supposed to be one flesh with you, or your husband is supposed to be one flesh with you, why would you do these things to them? Love your neighbor as you do yourself. And love don't fail. So everything that you spewing out to your mate, everything that you doing to him, imagine you looking crazy in the mirror saying it to yourself. Jump up to verse 23. B, jump back over to Genesis chapter 2. Pick it up at verse 29 again. Oh, what verse is that? No, it wasn't 29. 2 and pick up at verse 23 though. Verse 23. Hold on.
And the man said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh.
Mm-hmm.
This one is called woman because she was taken out of man."
Yeah. Go ahead.
"For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and join unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh."
So that means y'all the same person. So imagine when you go out and you talk mess about your mate, right, to somebody else. Would you think that your spouse is going out doing that to you? How do it feel?
Don't like it.
You don't like it at all. Oh, he probably over there right now telling them about. But then you turn around and do the same thing, right? So if there is going to be a situation where you got to vent to other people, guess what you should do? You should agree on who those people are, right? You should be able to agree on who you can go and talk. So if I don't want you going and telling your moms about what's going on, don't go and spill my stuff to your mom. If I don't want you going over to Bessie Sue down the street and spewing my business, don't go down to Bessie Sue. If I don't want you talking to such and such about our business, because such and such ain't in the truth, such and such don't understand what it means to be a real wife or a real husband, don't go and do it. Because the advice that they're going to give you is going to be everything short of this. Right? So my suggestion, I say this of permission, not of command. Agree on who you going to vent to, if any. Right? But let's look at this. Genesis chapter 3. Bob, you stay where you at in Ephesians. Genesis chapter 3. Pick it up at verse 16.
Genesis 3 and 16. To the woman he said, "I greatly increase your sorrow and your conception. Bring forth children in pain, and your desire is for your husband."
Your desire shall be for who?
Your husband. And he rules over you.
So when it says rule over you, from what we was looking at before, like what you mentioned yesterday, right? This means to rule in you, right? So if your desire is to your husband, that means that in your mind, who's going to be at the forefront of your mind all the time? Your husband, right? Huh? Yeah. So, yeah. So, was this the man's fault that this woman got this punishment? Whose fault was this? Well, both of them played a part. Eve ain't had to go through with it, though. Everybody got to bear their own iniquity. Right? So, because she did what she did, now she has to receive a certain punishment. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all feel this way, right? Your husband, everything he do, everything he say, everything, you just got to know where he at. You got to know this. You got to know that. I always want to be around you. Why you ain't over here? Sit on this side of the couch. Why you doing this? Why you doing that? Hold my hand. Why you ain't posting me on Facebook? Why you ain't this? That's a punishment. It wasn't a reward. It wasn't for you to enjoy it. It was a punishment. Right? Just like we gotta work from the sweat of our brow and do this and that. It was a punishment. It's not for you to enjoy it. But now that you're in it, guess what you have to do? You gotta make the most of it. Because it's not something that you can ever get away from you unless you leave. And then at that point, you probably gonna go, I wonder who he was. You're not gonna never get away from it. It's not because your husband ain't about nothing or he this. That is a punishment that was given down by the Most High Yah, and can't nobody change it. So when we look over here in Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 23, we got to understand something.
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 23.
22.
22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands.
Do what now?
Submit yourselves unto your own husbands.
Oh man, there go that word submit. That's a bad translation in there. That ain't really supposed to be submit. He was only talking to the Ephesians. He wasn't talking to us. He wasn't right? I done heard it all. Right? What do we mean submit? Why he gotta say submit like that? What's it? What do you think it means when he say submit? Not like that. That was just not the step. Listen, if y'all brothers is at home doing that, man, y'all is out of pocket. Don't be, yeah, you. That ain't what it's talking about. So, what do you think it means when it says submit? Subject yourself to your husband. Right? Why?
To arrange under.
To do what?
To arrange under.
Whew. That means that you have to be humble, right? When your child get in trouble in school, they say that they were what? Insubordinate. They don't say that no more? They said it before though? Yeah. That boy been in school for 5 years. Talking about they don't say it. Insubordination, right? What does it mean to be insubordinate in the military? What does that mean? You're not listening. Disobeying your commanding officer. Look, them brothers getting happy. Right? How many women are willing to actually subject themselves to their husband? In everything.
They like this.
This is at church. And they laugh.
Hold on, one sec. Hold on, because I want to see something. How many of y'all wives just got in trouble for dropping your hand? All right. So how many of y'all were willing to submit to your husbands? In everything? In everything. Work in progress. That ain't what he said. That ain't what he said. Faster than prayer? No, I get it.
Why you just can't do it?
That's the whole point.
Do it. It's that thing inside you.
So
it's that thing inside you.
Yes, okay.
I'm talking about something health-wise issues. I'm not just talking about my issues.
But we gotta deal with if that's really the subjection that he. We'll deal with that. We'll deal with that.
Okay, yeah.
We'll deal with that. So, if you are having issues with submitting yourself, hold it down. Submitting yourself to your husband, you do realize that is pride. And what's going to happen to all of the proud, according to the scriptures? They're going to burn. The first person outside of the Most High that you submit yourself to will be who? Your husband. So if that slacks and that pride is in you, you're going to burn. That's just the truth. Read the next verse, huh?
22 again. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands and unto the master.
As what?
As unto the master.
He says submit. Now, how many of y'all submit yourselves to Mashiach? Whoa. Hands? How many of y'all would submit your if Mashiach, who people call Christ, was in your face and in your presence and he gave you commands, would you do it? Would you do it without question? Would you do it without penalty, without rhyme or reason? Yes, right? Why? Why? Out of fear? Fear, like respect. You'll do it out of respect. That's a good word. What else? What other reasons would you do it? Out of love. Who said, wait, all who say love, raise your hand. You'll do it out of love? Okay, hold on to that. Who said trust? Out of trust, you trust them. Okay. Now, he says, how can you love me whom you have never seen if you don't love your brother who's been with you all this time? So if you won't do it to your husband, you won't do it to him. Let me rephrase it. If you won't do it to your husband, you're not doing it to him. Remember, he said love never fails, right? So how can how can I look at a situation and say you're failing to love your mate whom you go to bed with every night, or you're in the same house with every night? Because we have our issues where we sleeping on the couch or whatever have you, blow some steam off, right? Don't let that last too long. But if this person that you with every day, you can't submit yourself to, and you don't love, how can me, being a person that's trying to give these scriptures, say, I have full confidence that you submit yourself and you respect the Most High? I don't have confidence in saying that. If you got problem with submitting yourself to your husband, I don't have confidence in saying that you submit yourself to the Most High. I don't even have confidence to say that you're not a sinner. Because if you won't do it for somebody who's in front of you, how can you do it to him and you ain't never seen him? Next verse, Ephesians 5 and 23.
23. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Mashiach is the head of the congregation, and he is the savior of the body.
Is the what?
Savior of the body.
Go ahead.
Therefore, as the congregation is subject unto a Mashiach, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
In what?
In everything.
In a couple things.
In everything.
In cooking.
In everything.
In cleaning.
In everything.
Everything is everything.
Yeah, right.
Right?
You got to rephrase. You got to say that they still got to clean up too many.
Oh, I got you. No, I got you. Read that verse again. I got you. She said that we got to mention that the husband got to clean up and all that stuff too. So I got you. Read that verse again.
Verse 24. Therefore, as the congregation is subject unto a Mashiach, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
Mashiach, come down here and wash these dishes.
Everything.
Mashiach, come down here and sweep my floor.
Husbands in everything.
It don't work like that. Remember, it's not about what they are doing for you. It's about what you are doing for your spouse. As soon as you put yourself into, well, you don't clean up enough and I'll be tired, so you got to do. That's his job. His job is to think about you and say, dang, she do be doing a lot. I know she's tired. Let me step in. That's his job. He worry about you. If you worry about you, then you good with y'all. Feel what I'm saying? Right? Now, wives, I know this is tough. To have to subject yourself to your husband and everything, right? Jump up to verse 21.
Verse 21. Submitting yourselves one to another.
Wait a minute.
Submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of Elohim.
That brother said it don't mean that. So all my brothers that were slapping 5, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Woo. Read that one more time.
Submitting yourselves one to another, the fear of Elohim.
Submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of Elohim. Right? So, brothers, you're subject to your wife too. Don't let your pride get you. But, ladies, don't let the position get thrown out of whack. There is an order. There is an order. Don't let the position get thrown out of whack. Well, you know you got to subject yourself to me. So what I'm saying is just go in here and don't let the position get thrown out of whack. You will never come at Mashiach like that, ever in your life. So don't come at your husband like that. Husbands, when it come to your wife, don't ever come at your wife sideways. Matter of fact, get Malachi chapter 2. Don't come at your wife sideways a way that Mashiach wouldn't come at his wife. And you understand when he ever came for her in a certain type of way and wasn't speaking delicately to her, it was because she committed some type of adultery. Because she did some type of fornication. Because she, you get what I'm saying? Malachi chapter 2. One sec while I get it. Malachi 2, and pick it up at verse hold on one sec. Verse 15. (2:15).
Malachi chapter 2 and verse 15. And did not he...
Verse 14, I'm sorry.
Verse 14. Yet ye say, wherein? Because Yahuwah hath been witness between thee and thy wife of thy youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously.
Dealt what?
Treacherously.
What does it mean to deal treacherously? What does that treacherously mean?
To act treacherously, deceitful, deal treacherously.
What's that word say right there?
Deceitfully offend.
Right? He said you dealt treacherously with her. You was deceitful with her. Or you offended her. Love don't offend. Ain't that what the book said? So husbands, it ain't for you to tower over your woman. Yeah, you need to do this and do it like this and this. That ain't how it's supposed to go. Read.
Yet ye say, wherein? Because Yahuwah have been witness between you and your wife of thy youth, and against whom thou hast dealt treacherously. Yet it is she, thy companion, and thy wife of thy covenant.
She is what?
Companion and thy wife of the covenant.
That's your companion. That's the wife of your covenant. Have some respect. Don't deal with her in a certain type of way. Just like she can't talk to you out of pocket, you can't talk to her out of pocket. How many of y'all men that said stuff to your wife that you wish you could take back? Can't take no words back. He said, every idle word shall come into account in a day of judgment. Every word. You can't take words back. You can only help to better the situation after they done went out of your lips. But you got to give an account for that. He said, don't deal treacherously with that woman. Don't offend that woman. Right? Go ahead.
And did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the spirit.
Of the what?
Of the Ruach. And wherefore one, that he might seek a goodly seed, therefore a godly seed, therefore take heed to your Ruach.
Take heed to your what?
Ruach.
Take heed to your what?
Ruach.
Take heed to your Ruach. Read.
And let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth.
Don't let none deal treacherously with the wife of his youth. Watch your mouth when you talk to that woman. Because she only belonged to you according to the covenant. But who do she belong to, period? Yeah, that's his daughter you talking to. I mean, you thought about it like that? If Mashiach was standing right there in your face and his daughter standing right there next to her, you going to call her the same thing you would call her right now? You'll call out her name? Nope. Why? Brothers, the sisters answered. Out of fear? What else?
Like actual fear.
Like actual fear. Like, oh,
Holy
like
back
that? He said a holy backhand? Might not last after that one. Right? Should be out of love. It's certain when you go over your partner's house, it's certain things that you won't even say around his wife and his daughter out of respect and love for your homie, right? We're talking about Mashiach here. This is his daughter you talking to. I know she been acting crazy. I know she been acting up, but watch your mouth, man. And vice versa, right? Let's jump over. We're gonna end it up in a second. Let's jump over to 1 Peter chapter 3. All right, you get Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 26. 1 Peter chapter 3, pick it up at verse 1. So, ladies, when your husband get all irate and get to tripping, or he get to sinning, right? Is it your job to be like, man, you sinning? Get yourself together. Blah, blah. Is that your job to come at him like that? No. If he's doing something outside of the will of the Most High, how should you act? Said, call a brother. Oh man, better make sure that's all right with your husband. Okay, call a brother. You called them? I ain't told you call. Right.
Post it on Facebook so everybody can know.
Post it on Facebook. That's the new thing, right? You put a meme on there. Right? I ain't gonna say it like I'm just put a meme up there. Ain't my words. I'm just gonna post it. Right? When your man ain't doing this and that, find another. Find your peace, girl. Right?
Go watch the Tyler Perry movie and act like it's real.
Sometimes when your man ain't doing it, you gotta think like a man. Well, I gotta be a mama and a dad. I mean, y'all know y'all done did it before, right? Well, not okay. There's a couple of y'all in here, but where there's two of you, there's 20 of us. So we gotta understand that ain't right, right? How do you handle the situation? 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1.
1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands.
You do what now?
Be in subjection to your own husbands.
Yeah.
That if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won.
He said, hold on, wait. So we gotta read that slow. He says, wives, be in subjection to your husband. For what?
To your own husbands, that if any obey not the word.
So if he not obeying the word, right? Whether he's in the truth, not in the truth, or if he's just not obeying the word of the Most High. That makes sense? Read.
Obey not the word, they also may be without the word be won.
They be won?
Be won.
Won like when? Like you, they be won by what?
By the conversation of the wives.
By the what now?
Conversation of the wives.
How can you win your man back over to righteousness or get him to do the things that are conducive for salvation or for your marriage if you talking to him crazy? The way that you win your husband is like this. It says the conversation of the wife. You hold more power than you even know. You've heard that before. But what do you do with it? Do you use it wisely? Do you use it treacherously? Your conversation can win over your husband. So if your conversation ain't conducive to what he wants your conversation to be, is your husband going to be won? No, he's going to be lost. Read.
While they behold your chaste conversation,
Yo, who?
chaste conversation coupled with fear,
Uh-huh.
whose adorning, let it not be that of outward adorning of plaiting the hair, and of wearing of gold, and of putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible.
Don't let that flattering of your husband be from what you wearing and how you look. Because that ain't going to always keep you. You can subject the man by looking in a certain way. Oh, what was you saying now? You get the flip in your hair, you got on that right outfit, right? He get the, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah. It's only going to work for so long. He said, but let it be from the inward man of the Most High. Read.
But let it be the hidden man of the heart, and that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of meek and of a quiet spirit.
Of a who?
Of a quiet spirit.
How many of y'all, we just being real, got meek and quiet spirits? How many women? So, if you don't have a meek and quiet spirit, guess what you got to do? You got some work to do. This is how a relationship functions properly, right? It's not just on the man, it's on the woman too.
What's happening inside of y'all when he said that? That if you don't got a meek spirit and nobody ain't raised their hand, what started happening inside of y'all?
Because I thought it worked, and I just don't say nothing and walk away. It works.
That's meek, that's quiet.
Oh, but that's the stuff.
You said you used to? Better get it back.
No.
Get it back.
Away. I just walk away.
Right?
I'll be out the room.
Go ahead.
For after this manner in the old time, the Kodesh women also who trusted in Elohim adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands.
The women of who?
Old time.
So you know what? Something's really came to my mind when I'm reading this, right? And what's really going on is there's a lack of elder teaching the younger women on how to deal with their household. So a lot of these marriages that may be in trouble and all, it's because the elder women ain't stepping up and showing the younger women how it's supposed to be done. They say that in the book, right? That the elder's supposed to teach the younger how to be wives, mothers, lovers of their husbands, all of these things, right? Where's your presence at? Where's your presence? It's needed in our community. It's needed. But don't nobody want to get in nobody's business until it's all come to shambles. Until we come in here and it's all men in here because the women done left. Or because the men done left the women. Because don't nobody want to get in nobody's business. Don't nobody want, if you got the right things to say to Jews, why don't you share them? It says, speak every man what to his neighbor? Truth. So if you see your sister going off, it's your job to correct her. It's your job to get him back on track. It's your job to say, hey, you shouldn't have talked to your husband like that. You out of pocket. That's your job. But because we don't have enough of that, these young women is being raised by this millennial generation. Oh, I need to have for myself. I don't need a man. I can do this by myself. If you talk to me like this and do it like this, I'm out of here. My grandmother and grandfather have been together till the one died. Right? That don't mean that they didn't have trouble and turmoil. But my grandmother would rather stay there and stick it out with my grandfather than to leave and go and deal with somebody else because she believed in marriage. You talking about shotgun wedding, right? It was a time where divorce was a taboo. I wonder where it came from. What made it a taboo? What would people look at and say, man, we shouldn't even be getting divorced? What would people look at for that? Hey, look at the scriptures. So you got to keep in mind that if you're an elder sister and you got these younger sisters going through A, B, C, and D, it's your job to deal with them on that. Likewise with the older brothers. You got to deal with the younger on this stuff. I done had conversations with Elder Martin plenty of time, and it worked. I done had conversations with B, and it worked. Quab, and it worked. All of them older than me. Right? But now, fellas, I got to take y'all on advice in a lot of this stuff. All right? Couple more. Get 1 John chapter 4, verse 6. I had you hold something. Read that Ephesians 4 and 26. All right?
Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 26. Be angry, but sin not. Do not let the sun go down on your rage.
Now, how many of y'all do that? That's it. So, when you're angry with your spouse, do you allow the sun go down and you still mad? Do you? Yes? Why would he put it in the book to not do that? Because it's important. It's important. The only reason he will put it in, ain't no idle words in here. The only reason he will put it in here is because it's important. He says, be angry, sin not. Don't let the sun go down upon your wrath. Go ahead.
Nor give place to the devil.
Nor give place to what?
To the devil.
It's the second time he done talked about some type of Satan or deceiver coming in and being able to rustle some feathers. Right? Because now if you allow the sun to go down on your wrath, he already a man of the night, or there's already a ruach of the night, or there's something inside of you that when it come nighttime, you like, man, screw it. I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to go and do that. See you laughing out. It's real, right? He wouldn't be saying it for no reason. Why don't we listen to the scriptures that we believe in? If you want a healthy marriage, follow the book. If you want it to happen and to be successful, follow the book. 1 John 4 and 6. Matthew chapter 18, verse 15. You get Matthew 18, 15, you get 1 John 4 and 6.
1 John chapter 4 and verse 6. We are of Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
He that knoweth Elohim heareth us. He that is not of Elohim heareth not us. Hereby know we the ruach of truth, mm-hmm, and the ruach of error.
Mm-hmm.
Beloved, let us love one another.
Let us do what?
Let us love one another.
Let us love one another. We understand that the Most High loved us so much that he made it for a way, even though we broke the covenant, to get back and be a part of his kingdom. Because he swore to himself. Right? Read.
Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of Elohim, and everyone that loveth is born of Elohim, mm-hmm, and knoweth Elohim.
So he said everybody that actually love is born of Elohim and know Elohim. So if you don't love, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, don't expect to make it to the kingdom. Your husband and your wife is directly linked to your salvation. Pow, boom. Directly linked to your salvation. Play with it if you want to. I remember my wife told me, she said, it was really hard for me to submit to you until I realized that I had to do it from like I was doing it to Mashiach. And at that point, I was like, man, why can't just be for me? Why I gotta be for? But that's pride. If you're gonna do it because you're doing it for him, then of course I should be happy. Because it's going to start to develop in that you're doing it for me. You only start keeping the commandments because you are afraid of what's going to happen to you if you don't. Until you start doing them, and it becomes second nature. Now it's not, I'm worried about what's going to happen to me. Oh, man, I can't wait to go to Shabbat. Man, get that pork up out my face. Man, before it was like, man, I can't eat no pork, dog. It's out of the body. Now it's like, man, don't get that pork up out my face, man. That stuff ain't good for you no way. Clog your arteries and kill you. Right? You start doing it out of fear, but then you start to get a love for the law, a love for the scriptures. It's the same way with husband and wife. If you have to start the foundation on loving your spouse based on the fear of the Most High, do it. Do it. Read where you at?
Verse 9. And this was manifested the love of Elohim toward us, because that Elohim sent his only begotten Son into the world that we might live through him. Herein is love, not that we love Elohim, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be propitiation for our sins.
Yeah.
Beloved, if Elohim so loved us, we ought also to love one another.
He said, if he loved us, you gotta believe that we gotta love each other. Go ahead. So look at the definition of that, John. I want to put it.
Propitiation and appeasing. Propitiation, the meaning of appeasing, a propitiation, atonement, that is concretely an expirator. Propitiation, still ain't giving nobody. Strong's definition, atonement.
Hold on, I looked this up before. Hold on one second. That's what it's pretty much talking about. Yeah, it said he loved us. He sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins. So, yeah. But that's plain and simple, right? You know what I'm saying? His Son, whom he loved the most, he sent to die because he loved us more than he loved to keep his Son where he was at. That makes sense? He loved us more than to see his Son sit on his right hand and for us to die. So, what's our excuse? What's our excuse? Can you read?
Beloved, if Elohim so loved us, we ought also to love one another. No man has seen Elohim at any time. If we love one another, Elohim dwelleth in us, and in his love is perfected in us.
Read what you got up over there in Matthew chapter 18. So now when we're looking at this Matthew 18, we got to understand, when you got issues with your family, what you supposed to do to it? You got issue with your brother, your sister, what do? Go to him, right? Go ahead.
Book of Matthew, chapter 18 and verse 15. And if your brother sins against you, go and reprove him between you and him alone.
So he's saying go to that person one-on-one. Does this discount your wife or your husband? No. Y'all beefing, y'all got issues, don't go and tell Bessie Sue first. You go over there and you talk to your husband. A lot of us don't know how to communicate with each other. A lot of us don't know what to say or how to say it, but got a mouthful to somebody else. You're one flesh. How would you want it said to you? Read.
If he hears you, you have you have gained your brother.
He says you'll win your husband in your conversation. It's vice versa with your wife. Right? Read.
But if he does not hear, take with you one or two more.
How many of y'all do that? Let's sit down and have a council now. Because this ain't working. We can't see eye to eye. Let's sit down and have a council. Let's say bring one or two more. How many of y'all do that? Or how many of you are afraid to do that because you're afraid that something might get out about you that you didn't want nobody to know? Be taught the lesson said, bear one another's burdens, right? Be able to be a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on for one another, right? Not judging when they tell you their downfalls or their mishaps, right? So the scripture telling you to go and get one or two others. If you're afraid to be honest with yourself, of course you're not going to be honest with other people. But this don't just stop with brothers and sisters. This goes for husband and wife too. Keep reading.
But if he does not hear, take with you one or two more.
Now, what is this showing that you keep going back and forth to do this stuff? What is this showing? That you love them. It's long suffering. Dang, you ain't hear me. Dang, you ain't hear the first counsel. Now we got to go and get some more. I need you to understand what's going on with me, and I need to understand what's going on with you so we can gain a brother or a sister, a husband or a wife. That's love. Read.
But if he does not hear, take with you one or two more, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word might be established.
Yeah.
And if he refuses to hear them, say it to the assembly.
Do what?
Say it to the assembly.
I ain't heard no conversations amongst the assembly. I haven't even heard about councils all that well. But we got people that's ready to break off and not be together. Somebody ain't following some book. Somebody ain't keeping what he told you to do. Try it all. Love conquers all. Love never fails. If you really love this person, you got to do what the book says. Love never fails. If it's real love, it won't die. I promise you that. But the only thing that's going to get in the way is your pride. It's the only thing that's going to get in your way. It's not because it is, or it's because of your pride. You're not willing to do something to push this thing over the edge. Go ahead.
And if he refuses to hear them, say it to the assembly. And if he refuses even to hear the assembly, let him be. Let him be to you like a Gentile and a tax collector.
Now, after all that, and at that point, whatever feeling that you're feeling, according to this, go ahead and be justified in having that feeling. Because you done took the necessary steps. It's hard. It's hard, especially when you've been dealing with stuff over and over and over again. But the only people you've been dealing with it with is that person. Or if I'm dealing with a situation with my wife, I'll go and talk to Quad. Or I'll go and talk to B or Maccabees or Shire, right? But I don't never involve my wife in those conversations. That means I didn't go and get 1 or 2 witnesses to sit down with me and my wife. So if I went to them for 3 years straight, guess what I'm feeling? Oh, she ain't changing for 3 years straight. Nope, because I ain't do what was right. I didn't do it by the book. You know what I'm saying? Play by the book. Play by the rules. You'll win. Play by the rules. Romans 5 and 8.
Romans chapter 5 and verse 8. But Elohim commanded his love toward us.
He did what?
Commanded his love toward us.
He commanded his love toward us. Go ahead.
And that while we were yet sinners, Hamashiach died for us.
While we were what now?
Yet sinners.
While we were righteous.
Yet sinners.
While we were sinners, he did what?
Hamashiach died for us.
So when we was in wrong, he still died for us. You got to look at your spouse the same way. If they doing something that's wrong, if they doing something that you just can't stand, you can't get with, you got to understand what happened for you. If the Most High decided to do you exactly the same way that you're going to do your spouse or how you treat your spouse, how would you fare over? Would you be making it to the kingdom? Where would you end up? If you won't end up in the kingdom after this, after knowing that he did this for us when we were in sin, if you don't think you will end up in the kingdom, it's time to change something. Or at least take the necessary steps. Make sure you justified in what you're doing. Don't leave nothing on the table for him to say later, what about this? Why didn't you do this? You've been reading my word for this long and you didn't read to do this? Don't let that be that. Don't let that be the answer for you. Was that it on that verse? Mm-hmm. Let's end it off at 1 Corinthians chapter 13. I had an example that I was going to go into that pretty much was, y'all know Jacob and Leah, right? How that situation transpired. Jacob actually received a woman that he did not want. The Most High said that she was hated. He didn't like her. Did he ever leave her? He never left her. Would he have been justified in doing so? No. He did no wrong to him. He never left her.
Blade, you knew better.
You came here too.
You knew I wanted your sister. God, no, I'm out of here.
But he didn't leave her. That's the worst case that you can even think of. He never left her. Stayed with her till she died. And hurt, right, every day. Right? Had kids with her, the whole 9. But he never left her. Keep that in mind. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Pick it up at verse 4.
1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 4. Love suffereth long and is kind. Love envieth not. Love vaunteth not itself. It is not puffed up. Doth not behave itself unseemly. Seeketh not her own. Is not easily provoked. Thinketh no evil. Rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoice in the truth. Beareth all things. Believeth all things. Hopes all things. Endureth all things. Love never fails.
Love never what?
Fails.
Go ahead.
But whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part.
Verse 12. Verse 11.
Verse 11. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
I put away what?
Childish things.
Everybody in here need to take a hold to that. A lot of these emotions that we rile up and that we get going against our mates be juvenile. And we allow those juvenile emotions to grow into something bigger. He says in this chapter, talking about love, when I was a child, I thought like a child. But now I put away childish things. Read.
For now, we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am known.
Mm-hmm.
And now abideth faith, hope, love, these 3. But the greatest of these
is what?
Is love.
How important is faith in the scriptures? It says outside of faith is sin. How important is hope? Very. He said these 3, but the greatest of these 3 is love. Because love is going to produce the rest. When you love somebody and you really, really love somebody, your finances is going to get in order. Your companionship is going to be made good again. Your conversation, your intimacy, all of these things are going to be made whole if you really love somebody. But if you don't, all this can go out the window. Try everything. Regret nothing. With that, I say shalom.
You love it, you hate it, don't do it no more. Questions, comments,
questions.
You got one.
What's up? Being in love and loving someone, there is no difference. The only difference you'll find with love is love for someone and loving someone. You got love for someone, you'll do some things for them, care about them, but that don't mean that that's that 1 Corinthians 13. If you love somebody, you are in love with somebody. That makes sense? Only a person that's in love can do what's going on in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. So regular love is being in love. They try to put that thing on it. Oh, I love you, but I ain't. No, you don't love me. You just got to be honest with yourself at some point in time. Like, either you love somebody or you don't. I encourage everybody to take 1 Corinthians 13 and that you read through it and really, really see who you are. Not who your spouse is, but who you are. Do anybody got any questions? No other questions? We're gonna chat.
I read one of the chapters.
Say what?
I read one of the chapters. Is a marriage license required when pursuing marriage or a marriage document? Looking in the scripture, I found it in chapter 13, but I'm looking for it in the law.
You can create your own document. The marriage documentation is it was brought about to protect the woman. You know what I mean? So, like, we're not talking about marriage licenses that you obtain from the state, but the marriage document was brought about to protect the woman because men were leaving their women and they was leaving them with nothing. You know what I mean? So it's similarly to what the token was, right? It was a document that protected basically the rights of a woman, that she had a right to inheritance. That's why when they talk about when we take a second wife, the duty of marriage, the raiment, the food, you don't diminish or whatever. So the documentation was for protection to say that I'm entitled to this. You know what I mean? As you know, but you can create your own marriage documents. I don't say it's required. If you have a covenant, if you form a covenant with somebody that you want to be espoused to, wed to, whatever, there's nothing wrong with having a document between y'all, and you can file your own documentation with the county, I believe.
And like he says, even with that documentation, you need two, 3 witnesses to establish the matter. Don't just say, hey, baby, I wrote up this thing right here. You know what I'm saying? You agree? All right, bet. Sign your name here, sign my name here. It don't work like that.
That's not gonna work.
Nope. Gotta have the witnesses. Gotta have the witnesses. The father had the tables of testimony, and then the blood was the signature. He had documentation. Whenever we go off and we get up there and he say, well, you didn't do according to the covenant, there's documentation.
And he even said, I called Shamaim and Aretz to witness
against you this day. Exactly. Them the 2 witnesses for him.
Because that'll be hard when it comes to like somebody was to pass and then you don't have no type of record of y'all ever being together, and then the mom could just be like, well, that's my daughter, you just divorced me.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. To protect the woman. If something was to happen to somebody or something, or if they were to leave or whatever, that documentation you can get it notarized. Like I said, even notarized, legally binding.
Right.
So, and we got another question, right? Who comes first in the marriage? Right? Mothers, fathers, or your spouse? It will be your spouse. Why?
That's your new family.
That's your flesh, right?
That's your flesh. It's you. He says, you shall cleave one to the other.
But not only that, you
and
shall
leave father and mother. Your relationship is your own. Again, I strongly suggest that if you're going to have any type of venting to anybody, that you agree on who you vent to. That way that there is some type of accountability there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, also you said godly counsel as well.
Godly counsel, absolutely. He said, don't sit in the counsel of the ungodly. You know what I mean? So you gotta, like I said, when you go back over the ramifications of your covenant, you really need to point out the small things. You know what I'm saying? Be clear on what's going on. because you're bound to it. You're bound to it. You know what I'm saying? Be mindful of who you're with. Remember, you got to subject yourself one to another. It's no reason that you should be fussing and fighting for days, weeks, years. It's no. He said, "Don't let the sun go down on your wrath." It's supposed to be over with at nightfall, but it's only gonna be over with if you actually got love for the person, or if you actually love that person enough to turn away your wrath and to say, "I give myself over to you." Even though I'm mad at you, I give myself over to you. And vice versa. That's love. He said, while we were yet sinners, he died for us. And he said, lay not the sin to their charge. That's crazy to me. You got people that spit on you, pulled out your beard, stabbed you up, all this different type of stuff. And he said, don't lay it to their charge. Forgive them because they don't know what they do. That's love. How many of us can do that with our significant other though? We're supposed to. Any other questions? One more in the chat. Go ahead.
In Messiah genealogy in Matthew, Rahab is mentioned. Is that Rahab the harlot of Jericho?
Yeah, it's definitely Rahab the harlot.
Yes.
Rahab the harlot. All right, can we do an exercise right quick? Y'all feel like doing some little exercise? Y'all feel like doing an exercise? All in favor for this little exercise, say aye. Aye. All right, let's pray out. We ain't going with the exercise. All right.
For those of y'all that's with us for the first time, when we pray out, we always recite the Our Father in Hebrew. So when you hear it at the end, that's what that is. Father Yah, we come before you once again, Father, thanking you for the word that went forth, Father. Praying and asking, Father, that word would settle on the good soil of our hearts, Father, that it would grow, Father, that you would provide the increase, Father, that we would just dwell, Father, in the understanding of how we are to treat one another, Father. Understanding that our vows that we made unto you, Father, are binding, Father, and that we have to live according to those, according to your word, Father. We need to be able to deal with one another as the scripture has said, Father. Yes, Father, we pray and ask that you would keep it ever present in our minds, Father, that we would not allow these things to proceed forth, Father, that we would be able to bridle our tongues, Father, and bring our anger into subjection, Father. That we will be able to do all the things that are written in your word, Father, pertaining to how a husband and a wife should interact with one another, how brothers and sisters should interact with one another, Father. We just continuously ask, Father, that you will walk with us, Father. Continue to allow your Ruach, Father, to govern, Father, as we deal with you and deal with one another, Father. We pray and just ask, Father, right now that you would just continue to walk with us daily, Father, that we would meditate in your word and dwell therein, Father. Father, we ask that you would just continue to be a light unto our path, Father, and order our steps, Father. Continue to pour your Ruach out into us, Father, that we be vessels for your word to flow through unto your people, Father. We will continue to speak a word of power and strength unto your people as you see fit, as you give utterance, Father. All these things we pray, Father, and we give thanks. So be it.
So be it.
Abinu Shabbat Shemaim.
Abinu Shabbat Shemaim.
Ikado.
Ikado.
Shenka.
Shenka.
Tabo.
Tabo.
Ka.
Bakuka.
Yeah, I say.
Yeah, I say.
Ratson Ka.
Ratson Ka.
Mare.
Mare.
Kashir.
Kashir.
Nasha.
Nasha.
Bashamain.
Bashamain.
Taylor Nu.
Taylor Nu.
Ayon.
Ayon.
Yiki.
Yiki.
Ikan.
Ikan.
Usla.
Usla.
Lanu.
Lanu.
Eight. Ashmatenu.
Ashmatenu.
Kashir.
Kashir.
Suki.
Suki.
Anaku.
Anaku.
Lashir.
Lashir.
Ashmu.
Ashmu.
Lanu.
Lanu.
Baal. Tabinu.
Tabinu.
The
The day.
Masa.
Masa.
Ki.
Ki.
Hasilanu.
Hasilanu.
Me.
Me.
Bara.
Bara.
Ki. Laka.
Laka.
Amam Laka.
Amam Laka.
Bahagi Bora.
Bahagi Bora.
Bahati Pare.
Bahati Pare.
Lome.
Lome.
Ulami.
Ulami.
So be it.
So be it.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right.